Welcome, everyone. We have the Star Wars Epic World of Action, or is it Power of the Force? I don't know what this line is called, but it's Luke Skywalker's Force Strike X-Wing. So this is a line mostly marketed for children, younger audiences, but this does seem to have a bit of nostalgia, and I was curious what exactly this is, what exactly can it do, and this very well could be a nice little fixture in your retro vintage collection figures. So we'll take a look at it, we'll compare it with a real vintage X-Wing and see what's going on with this. So as you can see, it comes with the Luke. He does look a little generic, but he's got the Luke helmet insignia. As you can see, these blast effects. I don't know if they're built into the antenna or not, but we'll see in a moment. And there are some kind of action features. Here is the bottom, if you want to see the UPC. And here is the back. And pretty nice decked out, showing you all the stuff that it can do. It can fire, blast from the front. It does look like these are on permanent. It shows the cockpit can open, making it seem like it's like push button. I don't know that it is, but we'll see here in a moment. So that is the packaging. And it does kind of open in a weird way. So you want to undo the tape on this side and basically pull this open. The other side of the wings are under here. Everything else is held down by twist ties. So yeah, that's the rest of the packaging. So here are all the pieces out of the packaging. And again, there is a little bit of assembly that needs to happen. So need to put the wings on, and the one that has the little blue stuff coming out will need to go on the top. And looks like this just snaps in. And then same thing for the bottom. And there's little grooves for this to snap in. Snaps in pretty easily. And then you've got the, I'll never know what to call these. Antenna, guns, whatever these are. These just kind of peg in. And they do seem to be all identical. And there's no landing gear. We do have this this blast effect thing here, so I'm gonna put this down for a second. These blast effects, I'm gonna say these are semi-permanent. I was able to remove the blast effect, but I had to heat this up, and it's engineered in a way where it didn't really want to come off easily. So I don't think it was glued on, but it was in there in such a way that it did not want to come off. And then you've got two of these missiles, and doing this wrong. Just kind of pop it in, and oh, there is a, sorry y'all, there is a landing gear. But you pop that in, and I don't know how this shoots yet. I should probably read the instructions. There is a button right here, so I'm guessing that fires. Yep. It's got a pretty good spring in it. So that's cool. And then you've got these things, and they just kind of go in and go out. Don't know why they put these in here. I think it would have been enough just having this cannon in the front. Having the blue on the side is just a little weird. And then we've got an R2 here, and you just manually open the wings. There's no gimmick for the wings. Trying to open it a little wider, and I keep popping this off. They do seem to be a little off. There we go. Compared to the fuselage. So there's that. And R2 doesn't do anything. His head spins, so that's cool, but like he's not tied to an action feature. All right. And then we close that back up. So kind of nifty. And I do like that at least you can, with a little bit of effort, you can take these off. I don't like this so much, but again, this was not designed for me. This was designed probably for like 4 to 8 years old children. So there's that. These figures are pretty nice. So as a basic figure, they have some good articulation. So they have a ball jointed head. They've got disc hinge shoulders. They have disc hinge elbow, and it rotates at the elbow. So you've got articulation there. Nothing at the waist. You do have ball jointed hips, and you have disc hinge with a swivel knee. So I would have loved to have something like this back in the 80s. So definitely not, vintage collection, but not like the really crappy, I shouldn't say crappy, the limited articulation figures that came out for Force Awakens. So there is a little groove here to get a fingernail in, and you just kind of lift it up. The interior is nice. This is a colored molded plastic, and there is a good bit of detailing inside the cockpit. No paint, but good detailing. Again, considering what this is, this is low price point for 8-year-olds. But you get them in there, closes up, and it looks pretty nice. It is a surprisingly nice little vehicle. Okay, so how does this compare with a vintage X-Wing? So here's vintage X-Wing, and this guy's a little bit bigger. In just about every dimension. This guy's R2 unit's a little bit more practically uh, scaled, but it is a good bit larger. But you could totally take a vintage figure and put them in here with no problem, and they would sit in there pretty well. So if you wanted to do that, that's a good way to take some of your modern vintage figures. Not not the vintage collection, but the retro collection. Last, there are some, we could call these blast ports because I don't know what else to call them, but the other figures in the line, they're very much like, gimmick type stuff where it's like a nice figure, but he's got a backpack that has some kind of crazy missile launcher or whatnot. And so these holes on the wings look like they are compatible with those accessories. So that's kind of cool. So I wouldn't say this is like a dream X-Wing for anybody to have. The vintage collection X-Wings are, you know, more detailed, much nicer. But it's been a while since they've been released. The last one was, I think, Rogue One themed, which was back maybe a couple years after Rogue One. There is the, was it the 50th anniversary of Star Wars next year? So I can imagine there might be some more vintage collection type X-Wing stuff that could happen. But if you want something to hold you over, something simple to kind of be able to mess around with, if you've got kids, maybe you want to buy one of these for your kid to get them into Star Wars. This was, I believe, $30, so it's pretty affordable, pretty practical. It's got some cool action features that kids will like, and enough detail and coolness that maybe even an adult collector might want to own this. But one more thing. If you wanted to go through the effort, you could make a more vanilla X-Wing. So you're definitely going to need two of these. So that's going to bring your cost up to about $60. And you are going to have to modify the wings. So for instance, here is your wing that it comes with. This was the wing that was on the other side. And you're going to have to make some cuts. And I ended up doing this with some modeling cutters, snips, whatever these are called. And more or less you can basically compare like where these things are going to plug into, and then cut the excess around where the part needs to fit into. And this won't be perfect. You'll need to kind of cut straight in, and then take some pliers. These are not pliers, but just to visualize. Take some pliers and just kind of break it off, and then just plug it in. Now these are still not perfect. This size is a little bit better. See, yeah, this size is a little bit better than this one, but they tab in pretty good. If you don't do anything crazy with this, they will stay in. Now, when you go to extend and put it in the X position, they are likely to pop out. And if that bothers you, you could glue these on to be permanent if you wanted. But yeah. This is kind of cool. Now, this compared to like the vintage collection X-Wing, this can't compare. But I would say if you're collecting the retro line and you want a nice X-Wing, this is a good way to make one. It's got some play features, and I would even say the way this is built, and I haven't taken this apart, this probably can come out because you can tell that there is separation all along here. Although if you take this out, there may be a gaping hole, but maybe somebody could create a 3D filler for that, 3D printed filler, who knows. The other thing is these pieces, and again, you can heat these up and pull them out. You do want to be careful though, because like if you take a heat gun to this, there's a strong possibility of warping this plastic, and once this plastic warps, beyond shape, you're not going to get it to work well again. Using warm water or hot water would be a lot better. But you can take these off, and once you get them off, you can't. These aren't really engineered to go on and off, which is a shame. But you could, Dremel these out, or take some type of tool and widen it a little bit more, and then you can make these interchangeable, and then you could, basically have different display modes for this X-Wing. So I actually like this. I wish this was the way they actually engineered this toy to begin with. I think the blaster here at the bottom is enough, effect parts. If anything, they should have put the blue flames back here. I don't know. But again, this is made for kids. This isn't really made for collectors. And if you really, really, really want to make this something to add to a retro collection, this is a way to do it. Thanks for watching. If you haven't done so, please like and subscribe. And as always, tune into more videos coming up. Thank you.